It's 8 hours and 34 minutes later. I know because telling time is my phone's only remaining function. Yet I still check it constantly, like something might change. True to her word, Morgan was there to pick us up right at 8. It's a minor miracle that Tara and I were both ready to go. I don't know who had it worse, me waking up to my alarm or Tara waking up to me banging on her door. Even now, she slowly eats a piece of bread from the kitchen, looking for all the world like a cow chewing cud. With each bump that the carriage hits, my tiny cup of coffee threatens to spill into my hand. I'm not sure that I'd feel it. After answering Morgan's perfunctory questions about our first night, we spent the rest of the ride in silence. She didn't acknowledge at all how she had knocked on my window. Apparently, it wasn't remarkable enough to her to deserve another mention. I watched from over her shoulder now as we approached the town. From the train last night, the scattered lights made Eysenfeld appear to be a lot larger than it really is. Now in the daylight, I had to strain my eyes to pick out some of the buildings against the hills and snow. Tara's missing it all, staring at her feet. Crumbs litter the floor beneath her. Morgan guides along a path that I'm pretty sure is the same one as last night. A few villagers move out of the way of our carriage, not even turning to look. It must be a regular occurrence. Even though it's hard for anyone to see us in here, I still feel self-conscious. I clutch the bag of camera gear tighter to my chest, hiding myself behind it. There aren't any other carriages on the road, nor anything bigger than a pushcart, so we still stand out, at least in my head. If the situation is at all awkward or out of the ordinary to Morgan, she doesn't show it. She pulls the reins and the carriage comes to a stop in the road. There aren't as many other people up here, but what few there are gives us a wide berth.
And here we are.
Tara finally perks up, the words clearly spoken for her benefit. It takes her a moment to realize that we've made an entrance, but as soon as she does, she's in showbiz mode. She leaps to her feet, throwing off the exhaustion like a disguise. Here we are indeed. She vaults out of the carriage, spinning circles like we're in the middle of a grand plaza instead of the middle of the street. I climb out more carefully and then scurry out of the way. Okay, this rules. It really does feel like we traveled back in time. The buildings, all built from wood and stone, look like they've been there for centuries. The road that we're on and currently blocking is made of cobblestone. It winds its way through the town despite being covered in well-tamped snow. We're certainly a long way from home. Morgan doesn't disembark from the carriage and instead calls down to us.
The town square is right down this road, but if I take you there, I won't be able to turn the carriage around. It's always a pain when that happens. I'm going to open my shop, but feel free to come by whenever you'd like. I'm sorry I can't show you around right now, but I'll make it up to you later.
Where's your shop?
Oh, right.
She pulls out a piece of paper from somewhere and dangles it towards me. I cross the road and take it from her. Unfolding it, I can see that it's a map. Despite being hand-drawn, it's pretty coherent and legible. Certain buildings, like Morgan's shop and the local pub, are denoted by handwritten tags. At the middle of the road that we're currently standing, she's even drawn in a helpful "You are here" notice with a smiley face. She clearly planned this well in advance.
Cool, thanks. Feel free to stop by around lunch. I'll make you both something.
Hell yeah! You're the best, Morgan!
Thanks.
Morgan gives us a brief wave before heading off to wherever it is you park horse-drawn carriages. I point in the direction of the town square that Morgan mentioned, wanting to get away from all the people who are currently gawking at us. We definitely stick out, if only because of our colorful hair and clothes. Combined, their outfits have the color palette of a bowl of oatmeal. Although they stare, nobody really says anything, either too polite or too intimidated. Both Tara and I avoid eye contact with strangers as we head towards the emptied town square. Well, that couldn't have gotten worse. There are a million ways that could have gone worse. If people looking at us funny is the only downside of this trip, then it'll be our best episode yet. I mean, ever. I wish she'd stop bringing that up. It always kills the mood, which is barely on life support to begin with. Tara rubs her shoulders, having stubbornly chosen not to dress any warmer today. Okay, ready to get your paranormal on, Mads? I shrugged my camera bag onto my shoulder and nod. I suppose there's no harm in spending a little time establishing the location. Might as well get some B-roll while we're here. One thing that both Tara and I have in common is that we're not really sightseers. I spend as much time in my room as I can, whether that's the hotel room while we're filming, or my bedroom at home. So as much as Tara loves investigations and all the dramatic stuff, she'd probably totally skip the exposition segments if she didn't leave them to me. That means that we're pretty efficient at filming them. I turn on the camera and slowly turn a circle, capturing the ground, sky, and some nearby buildings for footage that we can splice together later. I do a slow pan across some of the houses, then frame and hold a shot of the path further into the village. A young couple passes by holding hands and they share a suspicious look at the camera as they go by. Guess I'm editing that part out later. Most of the time, making paranormal videos is just me finding ways to stretch 10 seconds of interesting footage into a 10-minute video. There's something else that we're both good at. The cold wind makes it hard to keep a steady grip, so I stow the camera and shove my hands into my pockets. Get anything cool? Unable to browse on her phone like she usually does while we're waiting, instead, Tara watches from over my shoulder as I record. Not really. There's not much to see here. Yeah, it's kinda less impressive up close. It's the kind of place that you'd expect a tumbleweed to blow through. Like, if the climate fit. Wow! You're turning into quite the poet. Oh, shut up. What? It was a compliment. Anyway, since filming the village is a dud right now, we should follow up on one of the rumors that Morgan was talking about the other night. I'm thinking giant tree spirit. That's the most interesting one she talked about, for sure. That's the headliner. We need to build up to that one. Oh yeah, definitely. Picture this. We head to the woods to get some creepy shots. Do it right around sundown. Make it super ambient. Lots of atmosphere, wind sounds, maybe a wolf howl. You got a good wolf sound effect we could use, right? Yeah. Of course. Anyway, I do a narration over all of that, introduce where we are and what we're out here for. Then we get a sound of a big branch snapping and just cut the video right there. Tara looks pleased with herself and glances back at me for approval. It takes me a minute to react. So, end the video on a cliffhanger? Yeah, I think so. We can definitely stretch the Eysenfeld stuff into a mini-series or something. We should be able to get at least 3 episodes worth of stuff out here. That sounds fine. A snapping branch is a pretty weak way to end it, though. Especially since, we uploaded the video. Nobody's going to wonder if we're okay or not. Oh, that's true. So you think maybe we just make one long vid? Or end it differently? Maybe a different ending. I'll think of something later. Cool, you're the best, Mads. I smile, but it hurts a little. I'm sure she's not trying to make me feel bad. She probably doesn't even know that I do. I just shrug, wanting to change the subject. We can also follow up on some of the smaller rumors. Like in her email, she mentioned mysterious lights out in the forest. Like a will-o-wisp? Are those actually real? You're the expert, you should know that, not me. Tara stares at me expectantly. Yes, they're real, but it's just swamp gas. It doesn't matter though, because we need to wait for nighttime for that stuff. It's not very spooky during the daytime. In that case, we definitely want to talk to the locals. See what kind of rumors they've heard of. That kind of thing. Right. That's definitely the smart thing to do. We both faced back towards the street we came down, where Morgan dropped us off with all those nosy people, who just stared at us but wouldn't talk. Awkwardly. Or we could go get some more establishing shots from other parts of the village. I like that idea. We pick a direction at random and start walking. As we head further into town, it starts to get more lively, and there are more people around. That might just be the time of day, though. A couple folks shovel snow in front of their homes. A group of kids run up and down the street, accompanied by a sagging basset hound. A woman wearing what appears to be an entire bear for a coat shovels past us. Wherever we go, the villagers watch us unabashedly. No one makes any attempt to talk to us, and conversations fall silent whenever we come near. I wonder if there was some sort of order given to not speak with us, or if it just happens naturally. I try to force myself to ignore it. We're not doing anything wrong, we're just a curiosity. The only interesting thing about us is our out-of-townness. Morgan said that there are rarely ever visitors out here. It's not hard to imagine why. There doesn't seem to be much worth visiting. Still, if they're going to keep this up, it's going to make those interviews even harder to do. Tara taps me on the shoulder, nodding in the direction of some of our observers. Is it just me, or is there kind of a creepy serial killer vibe going on here? Oh my god, can you not? Hey, I'm just kidding. Just trying to lighten the mood a little. My reaction having ruined any chance at that, neither of us speak again. I unpack the camera again and film a few of the storefronts as we go. As long as I'm surreptitious enough, most people don't notice and thus don't change their behavior. Inevitably, whenever someone does see me filming, they just tense up and stare, ruining the take. It's like they've never seen a camera before. Maybe that's not far from the truth. One thing I have to give to Eysenfeld's credit is that there's more personality in its construction than I thought at first. Most of the buildings seem to be people's homes, but it doesn't take us long to find a few stores here and there. The names are plain and simple, like you'd read in a tabletop RPG book. Heinkel and Sons Tailoring, a butcher shop named The Hearty Sow. That sort of thing. When we pass by a tavern called The Bushy Beard, I can hear Tara snickering behind me. Do you think they have barmaids? What? Like the sexy Oktoberfest kind. Do you think they have those here? Tara's words are so out of nowhere that it takes me a second to mentally process. This isn't a Renaissance fair, Tara. I'm pretty sure they just wear normal clothes to work. Tara's mouth gapes wide open. Wait, what? Back up. Ren fairs have sexy barmaids? Where else do you think they come from? I have no idea. I always thought those things were just full of boring stuff. What? Not at all. They have swordplay demonstration or time period appropriate foods. Sometimes local expert will give talks or lectures on certain topics. And, like I said, boring stuff. Whatever. There's more to it than just cosplay. I bet you'd actually like it if you went with me next time. Plus, I thought you loved history now. Not the boring kind of history, duh. How are swords boring? Whatever, Mads. She walks away. How did I manage to lose an argument she started? We cut a slow but steady course through the village. Despite how random the layout seems, it's impossible to get lost. All the roads seem to lead back into each other. I'm so used to the sounds of busy intersections and highways that the near silence here is almost unnerving. I can appreciate the serenity and calm of it all, but I think I'd go crazy if I had to live here. We're not even a full day in, and I can't help but miss my cozy apartment and the convenience of city life. Eventually, we take a path that brings us back to a familiar sight. The town square that we visited right after Morgan dropped us off. According to my phone, it's been a little over an hour since then. Still too early to meet up with Morgan for lunch. I guess we can't keep putting this off any longer. I think I have enough of the town now. Do you want to start interrogating the villagers? Interviewing? I didn't even notice myself misspeaking. I must still have interrogations on the mind after meeting the mayor last night. Tara poses dramatically, hyping herself up for the camera. I'm not even recording yet. Time to put my game face on. As long as it's a game face that people want to talk to. Mads, when have I ever been anything but charming? She sighs. Yeah, I know. I'll keep it chill for these, so we don't freak out anyone. But like, how do we do this? Go up to people and ask if we can chat? I guess I don't have any better ideas. This is how we usually do it. Except usually people are more curious about who we are and what we're doing. Sometimes after introducing ourselves, there are even people who have heard of us. That is definitely not the case out here. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if Morgan was the only person in this whole village that uses YouTube. The only thing more awkward than just asking random people for an interview is them staring silently while you approach. But we don't have any other options. I hand the mic to Tara. At least I'm not the one who has to do the talking. Tara stands there with mic in hand. And stands there. You good? Yeah, I am. Just give me a sec, okay? Okay. She psychs herself up by stretching and taking a few deep breaths. The whole time, she holds the mic pinched between two fingers like it's something she just peeled off her shoe. Once she's finally ready, she gives me a thumbs up and starts to walk again. I trail a couple meters behind, keeping her back framed in the middle of the shot. She moves with a determined stride, but I see the microphone shaking in her hand. We pass by a few people walking around, but she doesn't stop any of them. Nor does she ask any of the folks outside the buildings chatting or working or just sitting and looking bored. Just up ahead, a middle-aged woman smokes a cigarette, looking at nothing and no one in particular. It doesn't look like she's going anywhere, and she's not already in the middle of a conversation. She's the perfect candidate, and Tara must know it too. I wait for her to go up and introduce herself. I stand still and hit the record button, filming her approach. Except she doesn't. She walks right past the lady, whose gaze follows as she goes. I pause the recording and hurry to catch up, hissing Tara's name. I have to say it twice before she hears me and stops. Sup? What are you waiting for? We've passed like a dozen people now. Right, but none of them are the right one. Which one is the right one? You know, it's impossible to tell. I'll know when I see them. I roll my eyes, but I don't chastise her. She's trying her best. Oh, okay, here we go. Get ready. I follow her line of sight to figure out her prey, an older man resting on a bench nearby. Broad-shouldered and with a long beard, he looks like a stereotype of a lumberjack. Like the previous woman, he stares vapidly off in the distance. Thoughts clearly elsewhere. Once again, I plant my feet and set up my shot. Make micro adjustments to the focus until I get it just right. The rest is up to Tara. Slowly, Tara approaches the man. Either he doesn't see her coming, or he ignores her. She glances at me for reassurance, which I give in the form of a smile and a nudging motion, telling her to get on with it. She clears her throat, grabbing the man's attention. He turns to her slowly and eyes her suspiciously. Then he notices me and the camera, and he tenses up. Not off to a good start. Tara talks quickly, trying to explain the situation.
Hi there, my name's Tara Brick. My friend Maddie and I are visiting from out of town, doing a report on Eysenfeld. I was wondering if we could ask you a few questions?
Report? What kind of report? He relaxes just a little bit. The man rubs his eyes warily, peering back and forth between me and Tara. I wish he'd stop looking into the camera. I slowly start to move laterally, trying to frame the two of them better, but he keeps shifting on the bench to watch me.
It's an investigation on the supernatural. Rumors, ghost stories, that sort of thing. We've heard a lot of legends about Eysenfeld, and we're looking into them, trying to figure out what's true and what isn't.
Figure out the truth, huh? The man mutters darkly, his beetle-browed eyes still flipping between me and Tara. He chews his lip while he thinks about it. Something about his face strikes me as odd, but I can't figure out what it is. It's probably just a trick of the camera or the light. Well, all right. I suppose I've got the time. It takes Tara a beat to respond. We were both sure that he was going to tell us to bug off or worse.
Great, thank you. So, can you tell me about Eysenfeld? Just what is life like here, on an average day? That sort of thing.
Clearly, she didn't expect to get this far and asks the first thing that comes to mind. She offers the man the mic, but he just stares uncomfortably until she retracts it. Right, well, it's a good little town, good and proper, quiet, real quiet. That's what I like about it. None of that city business. No noise or bustle. Out here it's just you and nature. That suits me just fine, it does.
So you're from around here then? Spent your life in Eysenfeld?
Born and raised, and God willing, I'll die out here too. Never thought about leaving. Never had a reason to.
Great. So then I'd imagine you know all about any local legends, right?
About as well as anyone. Any old village has got its stories. If you believe them all, there are goblins in the woods, trolls in the mountains, and who knows what else elsewhere. Of course, it's only children what believe in those.
So you never seen anything weird yourself? Nothing unexplainable?
Weird like what? By now, the man has abandoned looking at Tara entirely and instead focuses on the camera, his eyes looking strangely focused.
One of our friends here mentioned something about a big forest spirit, like a walking tree kind of thing.
He sits up from his slouch, finally turning to face Tara. What friend of yours might that be?
She's from around here. One of the locals.
Even though we gave her a shout out on one of our videos, Tara's reluctant to name Morgan as our contact. It makes sense, her neighbors surely feel different about us than our viewers do. I'll bet it was that Fisher girl, wasn't it? If you know what's best for you, you will steer clear of her. Nothing but trouble comes from that one. Nothing at all. Tara and I exchange a glance. Seems her thoughtfulness was irrelevant. At the same time, I'm suddenly a lot more interested in what this guy has to say.
Why do you say that?
It feels like a strange violation of privacy to be asking this stranger his opinion of our host. But if she's notorious enough that anyone on the street knows of her, then perhaps we're better off knowing why. Spitting into the snow, our subject stands and turns his back to us. There are some questions you ought not to be asking, miss. I'll be going now. Enjoy yourselves. He lumbers off into the town, although I don't watch him for very long. Questions we ought not be asking? I'm not sure if that's a threat or not. For the sake of my anxiety, I try to tell myself it's not. I join Tara on the bench, doing my best to avoid the puddles of melted snow.
That was something.
That's putting it nicely. I don't know what it was either. Maybe Tara's right. It was something. You get it all? She taps 2 fingers against the camera in my hand. Of course. All 2 uncomfortable minutes. I wasn't given a lot to work with there. I replay the recording with Tara leaning over to watch along with me. It's not any less awkward the second time through.
Well, we already knew we'd need to talk to a few different people, just got unlucky on the first one. Know what I mean?
Tara stands up, but I remain seated.
Still need another minute?
I don't say anything. I'm trying to think of what to say.
Hello, Earth to Maddie. Please respond.
I'm thinking. My voice is too harsh and snappy, and we both know it. I play through the clip again, this time without Tara watching. Something still seems off to me, and it's not just the gruff way he left.
Look, we knew Morgan was a bit weird. All of our fans are weird. That's why there are fans. In a tiny little town like this, of course, anyone who's different is going to have a reputation. That doesn't make Morgan a bad person.
I'm not saying she's a bad person. I didn't say anything. But if you had to ask, I'm sitting here thinking that it's pretty freaking shady that that guy just guessed we were here with Morgan, and then that he up and left as soon as he found out. That's not normal. That's not something that happened to us before.
Great! That means we're on the right track. If they're hiding something, then that means there's something to hide.
Have you completely lost your mind? This is ridiculous, even for Tara. I can understand her wanting to give Morgan a chance, but to actually buy into her nonsense? Tara nods and looks down at her feet, brushing some snow off her shoes.
It's only been a couple of hours, Mads. He's just one old cranky geezer. Please just try to have some patience on this one, okay? For me?
I check my watch. It hasn't even been 2 hours. That only makes her more right, as much as I hate to admit it. I place my head in my hands. Sorry, I'm still tired.
It's okay.
After a long moment, I stand. Want to find somebody else?
Guess we oughta.
We traipse wordlessly through town a bit more. I keep the camera stowed. I'll set up when we find someone. Now that we've been burned once, I start to understand why Tara's so reluctant to speak to anyone. What once seemed like people tightening their clothes against the cold now seems more like turning their shoulders towards us. A suspicious number of folks look away from us to cough. The amount of times we pass by the same place certainly doesn't help our appearance. By now, there are a few especially chatty villagers that have seen us pass by at least 4 times. It takes another 15 minutes of looping around town before we find another candidate. A pair of girls about our age are waiting outside a shop. Inside, a third girl is talking to the shopkeeper. People our age are going to be our best bet. One of the waiting girls sips from a small mug of what I assume is coffee. She sees us and nods her head in greeting. That's the nicest reception we've gotten so far. What about them?
Worth a try.
This time I approach with Tara. I let her take the lead, but I follow close behind, forcing myself to smile in order to seem more approachable.
Excuse me.
The talking girls and shopkeeper turn towards us at the same time. Their conversation snaps off immediately.
Excuse me, hey there.
Hello. The girl next to her leans in to whisper something in her friend's ear, but doesn't talk to us.
Hey, so my friend and I are here from out of town.
We know. They both giggle to themselves.
Well, we're doing a video about any sort of rumors or local legends that you might have out here. Ghost stories or that kind of thing.
2 girls talk to each other in low voices that I can't pick up. The quieter girl is muttering something, and the girl with coffee is agreeing and nodding along. As one, they turn to face us again. I don't think there's anything like that out here. This isn't that kind of place.
Not one?
When you were kids, your parents didn't tell you stories about things that lived in the forest? You've never been out late at night and seen something you can't explain? We're not allowed out late at night. Right, there's a curfew. The girls go quiet, nodding to themselves. Sensing a dead end, Tara changes her tactics. Do either of you know a girl named Morgan? She's the mayor's daughter. The first girl, the one with the coffee, grins at that and pulls at her companion's arm. The other girl swats her away, face turning pink. Oh, I'm pretty sure everyone knows her. She smiles devilishly at her embarrassed friend. Some of us better than others. What's she like? Why is she so famous? She isn't that bad, she's trouble, and you know it. Staying out after hours, sneaking around town. She spends a lot of time out in the woods, too. Sometimes overnight. What do you think she's doing out there? If there's any particular conclusion we're supposed to have reached, it's lost on me. Still, it can't be coincidence that we're 2 for 2 now on people being weirded out by Morgan. 3 for 3 if I count myself. Do you think there's something out there? The two girls blink as if their reaction was planned. Something like what? Tara shrugs. No idea. Like I said, that's what we're researching. I don't think you'll find anything like that out there. Sorry, but this isn't a very interesting place. Right. I stride away, leaving her behind. I head into a corner between 2 buildings, out of sight of the girls we spoke to. Tara catches up and then leans against the wall next to me. That didn't go much better. Really? You think? Was it just a coincidence that these 2 other random people we met happened to have the same opinion of Morgan as the first? She didn't tell her mom, the mayor of the whole town, that we were going to be staying in a cabin that her mother probably owns. For a month. She rambles off stuff that makes any one of our videos sound like an episode of Scooby-Doo, and then the next morning just dumps us in the middle of the village. We haven't even been here for a day yet. We've seen our host for like an hour tops, and we were practically asleep for most of that. How am I supposed to have a good opinion of her so far? Well, yeah, she's gotta work. Come on, Mads, have a little faith. What's the worst that can happen? The lead turns out to be nothing like the other 200 times before. Some girls gossip about us, an old bum tells us to get lost. 207. And the worst is that the whole town hates us, while we're stuck here after spending thousands of dollars to cross the world. To live in a wood cabin with no phone service and barely any internet. For a month. You've got to see the problem here, Tara. Tara sighs and throws up her hands. Okay, so what? What is it that you want me to do? We're here and you hate it, I get it. So what's the solution? What is it you're hoping for here? Like I said before, let's just deal with it. Make the best of it we can. And try to have some fun. That was the whole point of this thing. It was supposed to be fun. She's trying to encourage me. She's doing a terrible job of it. Whatever. Let's just get this over with. And this time, don't mention Morgan. If nobody here likes her, then you're probably better off not bringing her up. I can see that she wants to say something, probably argue, but then she deflates and nods. Okay. No Morgan. She goes quiet for a moment, staring off into the town. She takes a breath and sighs, visibly relaxing. She starts to lead the way, not looking back at me. I feel a sharp pang of guilt as I stare back at her. I did promise to try, and here I am again, making everything worse. Tara... She stops in place. Sorry. Again. Really. She smiles a bit sadly, but shrugs. I get it, Mads. We're cool. Let's go. There's a lot more paranormal in our future. We exchange a small smile before continuing our march on. Eysenfeld seems to have been built so that no matter what, you're always walking uphill. We make our way up yet another one, past a low, crumbling wall and a few more houses. As we make our way up the street, a bitter-looking old woman with a broom stops what she's doing and eyes us. We've walked this part of the road several times now, but she wasn't here before.
Hey, you! Who are you? You aren't from around here?
The last part is definitely a statement, not a question. Tara slows down just a bit to mutter beside me.
Looks like we found number 3.
Tara immediately puts on a friendlier face as we approach.
Good morning, ma'am. You're right, we're not. I'm Tara, and this is Maddie. We're here doing a research documentary on Eysenfeld. Would you mind if we asked you a couple questions?
About?
Some of the local legends and rumors from around here?
I'm actually afraid she's going to say yes, because I can already tell this is going to end as badly as the last two. I've decided to answer Tara's question of what I want. I just want to go back to the cabin and be bored. At least it's not awkward and uncomfortable in there.
Yeah, alright.
Oh no.
Great, thank you. So, we've been hearing a lot of stuff out in the woods, like...
You are? Who told you that?
We've been interviewing a few people this morning, and it's something that came up a few times. Something like lights, strange noises, that kind of thing. Have you ever witnessed anything like that?
Never.
She looks around again, then steps just a little bit closer to us.
Look, I'm going to tell you this now, for your own good. No one around here wants any trouble. We all just want to live our lives in peace. That's what Eysenfeld's all about. Mayor Fisher does a damn good job keeping things nice and orderly around here. We keep to ourselves, and I'd expect the two of you to do the same.
She nods solemnly. The interview clearly over. Just as useless as the other two. As we go, Tara waves over her shoulder.
Thanks for your time.
And then, so only I can hear her, bitch. As we walk away, I can tell it's not necessary to say anything to Tara. She trudges along beside me. Annoyed as I am, I still feel bad for seeing her so bummed out. Maybe it's finally starting to sink in.
So, now what?
She asked me that after the second interview, too. Now? I don't know. Let's go to Morgan's shop and eat lunch.
Wait, for real? You want to go see Morgan?
Mostly I want to go see what Morgan makes for lunch.
I'll take it. But hey, can you
I'll be cool, don't worry. She smiles, relieved.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. I know you will be.
I take out the map that Morgan gave us this morning. By now, I've been through the village enough times that I can mostly navigate there by memory.
What kind of shop does Morgan run? Do you remember?
I think she said it's an antique shop.
What do those places even sell?
Antiques. Lots of furniture that's been around for decades. Or random stuff like old books and glassware.
That's oddly specific.
My mom's into antiquing. She's always said you never know what you'll find.
We should do an antiques episode of Paranormal someday. We can have your mom on as a guest star.
I'm sure she'd love that.
Do you think Morgan sells anything really out there? Like a possessed baby doll? Or a cursed sword?
Who would want to buy those kinds of things?
The same people who go to Ren fairs.
She got me. I can't help but laugh. Tara grins, enjoying the feedback.
Come on, Mads. Every good horror story starts out with buying something fishy from the local antique store. Maybe she has a special section for items with an ancient prophecy about them.
We're specifically trying to avoid the horror story scenarios, remember?
Oh, right. Yeah, I guess that would suck to live through. Okay, what if she lets us interview her talking cat instead? That's like a whole episode's worth right there.
The internet loves cat videos. That one could go viral. That's what I'm saying. Oh, we should prep a list of questions for it before we get there, so we know what to say. Ask it which brand of cat food tastes better? We can sell the video rights to that company. Come on, I'm serious. Wait, what? What? You seriously think that cat is going to talk? Tara shrugs, looking like she never questioned the idea. I'm just trying to be prepared. I thought she had gotten the picture after the last interview went awry, but it seems like she's still giving Morgan some benefit of the doubt. It's not even worth arguing with her over. She'll soon see enough as it is. I check over Morgan's map again. We're definitely in the area, since it says her shop is right by City Hall. The problem is, while her map shows how to get to the general area of her shop, it doesn't say which building it is.